Okay, welcome back to the Green Style Express Tank Sew-Along. I'm Sarah from sewingwithsarah.com, and I am going to walk you through the second part of sewing your Express tank. Yesterday we talked a little bit about choosing your size and cutting out your fabric and choosing your fabric and kind of what to look for in different options, some potential pattern adjustments. So today we're just going to do some simple shoulder seam sewing and look at the fit a little bit once you've got those shoulder seams sewn. Now, if you're really unsure about the fit, you could just baste them together. I'm going to go ahead and serge it because I know that it fits me pretty well, but there's a lot of adjustments you can make at the shoulders, so in terms of adjusting the fit a little bit. So what we're going to do is, right now you have your pattern piece like this, so now you want to make sure that you keep track, especially if you're looking at an athletic knit, the right side of the fabric. So I'm going to open it up and lay it with my shoulders seams in front of me. And just so that I don't forget, I'm going to go ahead and mark the right side with a little pin. So now I'm going to take, there should be kind of two wings off to the side here. I'm going to take those and you're going to cross them. And cross one to meet at one shoulder. And so that it doesn't get twisted, this is kind of the only tricky part. You don't want it to get twisted. I'm going to clip it. And then I'm going to take my other wing here, cross it over, and clip it right here. So these two edges are what I'm going to take to the serger. These are the only two seams you're going to sew this whole sew along. This has got to be the shortest smallest number of seams the sew along has ever had. So we're going to sew those and we're going to come back and take a look at the fit. Okay, so I'm over here at my serger and I've got my shoulder seams clipped together. And so you're just going to sew them at 3/8 of an inch. I need to increase my differential feed a little bit because the last fabric I sewed with was a woven and this is a knit, so I need it to be closer to 2.0. 3/8 of an inch, if you don't know already, is kind of the edge of this right here. So I like to have my knife in the up position. And now an option that you could use is you could put some clear elastic in here or some stay tape. I don't always do that. It depends. For this tank, it's a pretty lightweight fabric. It's pretty stable knit, so I'm not going to. But if you were working with something loose or that tended to stretch out like rayon spandex, it might be a good idea to put some clear elastic in there. And I'll put a link to the video on my blog of how to put in clear elastic with your serger. But I'm just going to go ahead and serge this together. Okay, so I've got my seam sewn. Now I also thought that it might be helpful to demonstrate how to do that on a regular sewing machine. So I'm going to bring you over to my sewing machine and show you how I would sew if I did not have a serger. Because you definitely do not need a serger for this pattern. So I thought I'd also show you how I would do this if I did not have a serger. This is a really, really basic machine. It's just a little $80 one from Walmart. And I'm using a jersey needle in there. The lower number, the 70, matches my lightweight fabric. So I would just have a jersey needle in there, all-purpose thread, and now you can either do a straight stitch. This isn't a seam that gets a lot of stretch, so I don't even think that a lightning bolt stitch is necessary. This machine does not have one, but if yours did, then you could use the lightning bolt-like stitch. Or you could just use a straight stitch or even a stretch stitch, which is what I'm going to do for this sample. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So you can see my sample right here. It's just kind of an extra thing and it stretches a little bit. So that's probably what I would use. That you can see that this did not distort my fabric in any way, and I don't have any stabilizer in here. But if you sewed on a sample and you did feel like your seam was stretching out, that's where some knit stay tape might kind of come in handy. So that's what I would do if I had a regular sewing machine and wasn't using my serger. Now once you've got those two shoulder seams sewn, your next step is going to be to just kind of pop it on really quick and see how the fit is for you. So I'm gonna give you a second to do that, and then we'll come back and take a look. Okay, so now I've got my shoulder seam sewn, and I popped it on really quick just to kind of show you. Now I didn't make any adjustments to this one, so this is just straight off the pattern. You can kind of see where the length hits. You can obviously subtract a little bit for hemming from there. But you're gonna wanna specifically look at the shoulder seams and where they're sitting on you. If I put them directly at my shoulders, that shows me kind of where the neckline's going to hit if I hem it a little bit. And then it also shows me the way that this is hitting me. Now, if you are finding that you have some gaping here, now I am an A cup and this pattern is drafted for a C cup. So if I had some more volume here, to push this out a little bit, then, you know, obviously it would be a little bit more filled out. But I can see, like, okay, there's a little bit too much fabric here. So if I pulled it up a bit at the shoulders, here's what it would look like. And I would personally be more comfortable with that. So I can kind of take note, okay, well, how much am I pulling it up at the shoulders? And how do I feel about that? Now that obviously affects how the neckline sits. So if you cut the higher neck and then you're taking it up on the shoulders, it might all of a sudden feel too high for you. You can go in with your rotary cutter, lay it flat down the mat, and just cut a deeper curve. And then make sure to transfer that back to your pattern later. Now if you tend to have forward shoulders, which I do, you might find that the shoulder seam is sitting farther toward the back than it needs to. And you might find that just bringing up the front would help you. And so you may want to unpick it, and this is where basting it might be a good idea. Unpick it, bring it forward, maybe even in the future you might need to extend that back seam a little bit, take up some from the front seam for now, and that's going to make a different fit as well. So that's just a couple of quick fitting tips for the tank. From here, tomorrow we're just going to hem it. So let me know what kind of questions you have. The other thing is, keep in mind that the way that the back is overlapping is going to really affect the way that it's fitting you through here. So if your back is like, you know, kind of bunched up and really spread open, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's really gaping here. But if I put it back kind of the way that it's supposed to be, crossing in the back the way that it would normally be, then you're going to find it fits a lot better there. Now you could decide at this point that you don't even want to hem it, in which case you're footloose and fancy free and you finish your first XPress tank. But if you do decide that you want to hem it, we'll do that tomorrow. So I'll be coming back to you with some quick tips and tricks on hemming a curved edge. This pattern has quite a few of them. And showing you how I do my reverse cover stitch if you're interested in that. Let me know what questions you have today. It was pretty quick and easy, and I look forward to seeing some of your XPress tanks start to come together.